What's going on, everybody? Dash Michaels here, and welcome to another episode of Shorts and Hoodies. This is the SNH podcast every Thursday right here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Tonight's episode is the Harry Potter episode 6. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Dash Michaels here, and welcome to another episode of Shorts and Hoodies. This is a very, very special episode. This is the Harry Potter episode. How is everybody doing tonight?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Great. Tonight we are talking everything Harry Potter. Well, everything within the 8-film span. Okay, we're not talking Fantastic Beast. Really not even talking about books. We'll touch on books for a little bit, but we're mainly looking at Daniel Radcliffe and his wonderful magical journey at Hogwarts and everything that comes with Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, and even people who shall not be named. My guests tonight, Derick and Thomas. Derick, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are back for the second time.
Yeah, I had so much fun the first time drafting fictional football players. I had to come back and do an entire fictional sport. I'm Derick McDuff. I have a podcast called Underrated where we talk about underrated movies. So kind of the opposite of this, where everybody knows Harry Potter, some stuff that maybe people don't know as much and should be aware of. And me and my friends call ourselves the Undercast Company. But yeah, Underrated is the podcast, and I'm Derick.
Awesome. Thomas, tell us about yourself, sir.
Hey, everyone. I'm Thomas. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I'm super excited to be here. I'm an amateur comedian, web developer, nudist. I started a YouTube channel recently called PeepingOtter. I also stream sometimes on Twitch, but not that often.
Okay. Awesome. What do you stream on Twitch?
More often than not, I'm going to be playing a solo player game, but every now and then I might be playing League of Legends, other games with friends. Phasmophobia is a great game. Okay. I get scared easily, so my viewers tend to love watching me get just terrified at every little thing that happens in that game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Derick, do you game as well?
I do. I used to game a lot. One of my nicknames back in high school was Gamer, but not as much anymore. I did get a Switch about a couple months ago, so I finally, because I'd been holding off forever, so I finally got back into all my stuff that I love. Like, got the new Pokemon, got Skyward Sword. I'm wearing a Zelda shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah. So obviously, yeah. I love video games. They're fucking great.
Awesome. Well, let me jump off of this real quick. So, Thomas, you're a gamer. Derick, you're a gamer. I like to consider myself a medium gamer. I have certain games that I'll play, and that's kind of it. I don't care about anything else. So, we're on the topic here of Harry Potter. What do we think about the new game that hopefully we'll fucking get one day, Hogwarts Legacy?
I will definitely try it, and from what I've seen of it, I'm super excited, but I'm going to hold my reservations until I actually have the game in hand, kind of deal,
Right.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really know too much even about it, so I'll check it out, once, like Tom said, more info comes out about it. But yeah, I'm just
it's a really cool concept, I think. Well, I mean, not that one that hasn't been done, but it's essentially an open world Hogwarts game to where you create your character, go through the houses, the tournaments, and all that stuff. It's open world. You can kind of imagine, if you would, GTA without the killing and the prostitutes.
Because I do love open
for Dementors and spells.
Open world is not always particularly my thing, but the thing I love with those kind of games is going like full role play mode, just full on role play.
That's exactly what I do. Even when I play GTA, like my gamer tag for my Xbox or PlayStation is Cobra Commander. And so when I'm in GTA, I'm dressed as much as I can be like the Cobra Commander. So I've got the mask on, I like totally the full armor and all this stuff. So yeah.
Because what I really like about that kind of what you just said is that you get to make your own play. You're not playing as Harry Potter or as somebody from the books. You're playing like as somebody, you know, in this world, which is like a million years back, you know, like I write. So, but when I first started off writing, you know, like when I was like 19 or 20 or something, I, you know, dabbled a little fan fiction to just kind of get some practice. And whenever I do it, I wouldn't like write, you know, like other people's characters. I would be like, okay, I'm going to write a Hunger Games fan fiction. I'm going to write about like, you know, the 67th or whatever Hunger Games, and just have like original characters in this setting. So I think that is really cool. Just have your own original character in kind of this really cool world, because I think that is one of the cooler things about Harry Potter is this world. Like, not that the characters aren't great, but that's why I think this franchise has stood the test of time to become so popular, is because it's the wizarding world, you know?
Right.
Big time. Every single time I go through the audiobooks, I just like imagine a new character and like what I would do in each scenario.
So how do you think this world that has been created of Harry Potter and Hogwarts and everything differs from, say, something like the ever so popular and one of my absolute favorite franchises, Lord of the Rings, or you know, say Back to the Future, or Indiana Jones, or Fast and the Furious? What is it that brings, you know, what is it about the world of Hogwarts and Harry Potter, the stories, the settings that set it apart from, say, any other franchise?
Well, I think one of the things that it does really well is that it is a fantasy story that, while it is, Hogwarts is kind of a secondary world, you know, most like fantasy settings like Lord of the Rings, they're like in another time or another world or something like that. Or if it's something like Chronicles of Narnia, they'll go to another world. Whereas this is just like, Harry Potter is a dude from our world. In the summers, he goes back and stays at his shitty aunt and uncle's house. And then he just goes to this place off in like Wales that's like this whole second magical world that exists within our world. And I think that is really cool to just be like, kind of like, okay, like around any corner, there could be like wizards. They're out here in the world. They're just, you know, they're like, if you go to a phone booth, it'll take you down in the Ministry of Magic or something like that. So I think that is a pretty cool element of that, kind of like sets this world apart from a lot of other fictional fantasy realms.
I really big time agree. Like, one of the big points of Harry Potter is you can imagine yourself being there. Things like Fast and Furious, I consider that just American anime on film. Lord of the Rings, I like still
that.
Have
I like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, I have researched what Gandalf is like 5 times, and I still did not understand how any of the stuff works, and I still love the series. I did not understand how any of it works. I read like the Necronomicon or whatever it was. I'm just
the Silmarillion.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, I tried to get. I could not. I got like 50 pages in, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" He's got to name every river.
But with Harry Potter, it's so much easier to identify and just kind of imagine yourself in that universe. To me.
Yeah, I very much agree. I like that, that I can sit here, and granted, I'm just a couple years older than, you know, Harry graduating or whatever. But I still, even at the tender age of 43, which I'll be this year, watching it, you know, going back and visiting some of the movies and watching YouTube videos to, you know, for cliff notes and all that stuff to kind of refresh myself, since I've watched the series. I can still like feel like I'm a part of the school. Like it does a very good job of making you feel a part of that family. And that's one thing that I really enjoy. Let's kind of switch gears here. I want to talk about our favorite moments within the 8 film series. Again, we're not talking Fantastic Beasts whatsoever. That's an ongoing series. But I really want to kind of really, like I said, dive into the 8 films itself. What are our favorite moments from the 8 films?
I have 2, or actually I have 3 that stand out really hard for me. Starting at the bottom, the opening speech from Dumbledore in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
That speech about where he like waves his hand in front of the candle stuff, that's not in the book. And that speech is just so well done. And it kind of like really makes you feel, I don't know, it made me like really happy and excited. And it still does to this day.
Yeah.
There's "Not my daughter, you bitch" from Mrs. Weasley. That is glorious. And I think my favorite one, and this one is kind of like a thing you can miss if you blink, but there's a part, I think in the book it's called like the Flight of Snape. It's when McGonagall is fighting Snape in Deathly Hallows 2. Not only is he like blocking the spells, but he is redirecting them behind him into the Carrows, the two brothers that like took over like the punishments of the school.
Right.
And just like that is so well done, and it just sticks with me really, really hard, because like as a reader, that he's trying to help Harry at this part, and that's actually why he wants to see him, and it's just shown on film in such a subtle way that's really, really awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think probably if I had to choose like a moment that really sticks out to me, I would say a lot of the Half-Blood Prince, the film, is real. There's a lot of moments in that. Because I feel like that starting there is when the last three, really those three films, so based on the 6th and the 7th book, it really captures a lot of the feel of the books that I feel like we're missing in the previous 5 entries, and we'll get more into that later. But like me being a really big fan of the books and like literally growing up with Harry, like I was, depending on when the books came out, I was either the same age as him in the books or the movies, because they were kind of staggered in their releases. So I was younger than him, but then I caught up, and then by that time I was the same age as the movies. But the end, particularly of the 6th book, where it has Draco Malfoy and he has to kill Dumbledore, and this is a character that you've hated for 5 books. You've just despised this guy. 5 movies. You just despise this little weasel. But that movie just makes you empathize with him so much. And he has this moment where it's like, he's got to kind of like turn away from this hate that he's been indoctrinated to his entire life. And he just chooses, like, he has to make this horrible choice between like his family and he just, he chooses, and then he doesn't kill Dumbledore, and Snape does it for him. And that was just a really, really powerful moment about just kind of like the nature of good and evil and how we're raised. And if we can choose to like be something different than what we've been taught to do, and that has so many repercussions for like going on in the series. So that moment really, really stuck out for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I definitely that moment, I think, but for Snape killing Dumbledore, and not even, I don't want to say that that's a favorite moment of mine, like, yeah, he's dead. But because of why we find out later on. And just, I think still going off of that moment, finding out about Snape's love for Harry's mom and everything. I love like sappiness, like especially when it comes to like love stories. And you really get that feeling of, and that he's never stopped loving her. And it's just like, oh, that's to me my absolute favorite moment. That and every time I hear "You're a wizard, Harry," like every single time I hear Hagrid say that, I'm just like I get goosebumps. It's just a really awesome. His voice carries so much power when he talks, and just hearing that short phrase is just awesome.
Can I interject real fast? Because it just reminded me. So a couple of years back, they came out with these new editions of the books, and each one of them had these like iconic quotes from the particular book on the back, and a lot of them were like from Dumbledore speeches, like these really long, eloquent lines and stuff like that. They were just like printed on the back, like this whole big sentence. But the first one just had "You're a wizard, Harry." I just love that so much, because it's like, yeah, that is so iconic, and it's just as much as like Dumbledore had amazing speeches in that book, and there you could have picked something from the Sorting Hat. That's all you need is just "You're a wizard, Harry," and it was just the YER. Like beautiful.
Yeah. With how iconic the movie made the word "always," like how iconic it's made. I wonder if there's more tattoos of that than butterflies at this point. I mean, it's really taken over.
It's something about I love Alan Rickman, rest in peace, but like his voice, but the look on his face when he said "always," it's just something that kind of puts a knife in your heart, and you're just like, oh, like you feel what he's felt all of his life. And it's just awesome. So we're talking favorite moments within the 8 films. Let's jump to the other side. What are the least favorite moments of the 8 films here?
Pretty much the entire movie of Order of the Phoenix. I feel like
Really?
I fucking hated that movie. I'm sorry. Just because.
See, that's how I felt about Chamber of Secrets.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I fell asleep. I remember
Secrets.
falling asleep in the theaters. Like, the basilisk and everything is coming out, and I'm just like, I'm gone. I had to watch it so many times. I rewatched the second film here the other day, and I paused it like 3 times. I was like, I gotta go do something else.
It is very
anything to get to the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is my absolute favorite one. So
yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite book. It's not my favorite movie. My favorite movie was definitely be Half-Blood Prince, but I think the problem with Order of the Phoenix is I think that when it does those like weird newspaper montages,
right?
Because it's the only movie that does it, and the movie all of the movies feel a little different, and I'll get more into that later. But this one feels way different than all the others, because while the other movies all switched directors, this is the only one that didn't have Steve Kloves as a screenwriter. So that's also why I think that the Fantastic Beasts movies don't feel quite as good, because J.K. Rowling actually wrote the screenplays for those instead of Steve Kloves, and she's not a screenwriter. That was the first thing she'd ever written for the screen.
Right.
But like that's the only one he didn't write. So it just feels weird. It doesn't feel as magical. It's just kind of like but it has all these weird montages and stuff like that. And I just really don't like the feel of that. And I think it was actually, incidentally, the only one I didn't see in theaters. I actually, for whatever reason, just didn't get around to it, because I think it was a big gap between the bigger gap between that one and the fourth one. And I ended up not watching it, and because I was like, well, I read the book, I know what happens anyway, so I didn't miss anything. And then I went back and watched it. I was like, this is like a movie from another series or something. This is bizarre.
Yeah.
I agree with you so much on that. It's actually my least favorite movie and one of my favorite books. Half-Blood Prince wins in both of those categories for me. But Order of the Phoenix, the only redeeming factors to me was whenever Sirius calls Harry James on accident, the Dumbledore fight, and then Umbridge. But like everything else felt so off about it. I know they had like a new director or something like that, but like all the spells became like white wisps and stuff like that, and that threw me off. And everything else, like, yeah.
I think for me, again, didn't read the books. For me, the worst part of the whole series, and it's not even that it's bad, it's just I hate that it fucking happened, and that was the death of Cedric. I understand it kind of had to happen for Voldemort to kind of fully come back, but he's such a good character. Yeah, I have a soft spot for Robert Pattinson though, so
he's a great actor.
Yeah, he really is.
I'm excited for him to be Batman. Like,
yeah.
Did you guys see The Lighthouse? That shit was incredible.
Yeah, he's gonna be Batman. Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting. I will hopefully be able to see it in theaters. We have no theaters open here right now, so which kind of sucks because Spiral is out in theaters, and I'm a big Saw fan, and it will be the first Saw movie after the first one that I have not seen in theaters, and we're not going to open up anytime soon. So, kind of bouncing off kind of what y'all were talking about with the books versus the film. As somebody who's never read the Harry Potter books, what are the biggest differences for you between the novels and the films?
I felt like the films did Dobby dirty in a few. There was a few of the books where he took a much bigger role than what he took in the movies, and it gave you a lot more time to like kind of connect his character with Harry, because they became pretty much okay friends, and in Harry Potter the movies, he was kind of ignored after the second movie up until his death. We also missed out on Peeves, which it might be a weird gripe,
Yeah.
but Peeves was a fun part of the books to me. We missed like the part with like the Wadi Waska from Lupin just shooting like gum back at Peeves. McGonagall telling him to drop a chandelier on top of people.
No, for people like myself, I have no idea who you're talking about. So, what is Peeves, or who is Peeves?
He's
What is Peeves?
he's a poltergeist. He's one of the
Okay.
ghosts of Hogwarts.
Okay.
In the books, yeah.
So he's like
And-
kind of
He's a
like Saint
mischievous little
Nicholas
fuck.
or any
He's
of the
great.
other.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's constantly doing mischievous, like silly things, throwing ink pellets and dung bombs at people, dropping water balloons on first years. He's constantly getting into fights with like Filch, and you'll always have like little moments of Filch yelling "Peeves!" and like putting his hands up in the air.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I did read the books, and I grew up with the books and love them. And I do always kind of prefer these books to these movies, because I feel like it ran into, not that they're bad movies. These are kind of like movies that I enjoy a lot, but I'm not necessarily like the biggest fan of them critically, except for maybe the last three I like. And I think a big part of that is that tonally they're very inconsistent because they kept changing directors. Like the first two are like slapstick movies directed by Chris Columbus, who did the Home Alone movies. So they're like these weird kids movies. And then the third one is like directed by Alfonso Cuarón. So it's like this movie with like, I really don't like Alfonso Cuarón. Like, I know he's like a really respected director, but I can't, like, because his stuff is just like all visual, and like it's all just, there's, you lose a lot of the kind of text in that book and like all the subplots and stuff. And then, the fourth one's directed by somebody else. And then finally David Yates did the last few of them, so, the fifth one, he had a different writer, but when it was him and, Steve Kloves doing the last three, at least that was kind of consistent. But it just kind of feels like tonal whiplash, and things are inconsistent and they change. And, that's kind of one of my problems. And also I think that one of the things that they run into, and a lot of franchises that are adapted from books run into this problem of, they started making these movies before the books were finished being written. So some things that, seemed like minuscule or unimportant in the books that were cut out of the movies are actually super important. Like the whole thing with the mirror in the movies is kind of like, what is going on with the mirror? Or like, the Marauders in the third book are really important. They're barely mentioned in the movie, and then they become really important later on. And it's Game of Thrones, same kind of thing, where it's just, that show actually even finished before the books, or if the books ever get finished. Another example would be the original run of Full Metal Alchemist. If you guys are familiar with anime and manga, the original run of Full Metal Alchemist finishes before the manga finished. So the second half of that is all made up. And then they actually redid the series in, in my opinion, in a much better way. That was like a direct adaptation of the manga in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So I do think it ran into problems. But I don't want to harp on it too much, because I do like the last three films after the books were complete, and they kind of had like knew where they were ending. And after they had a director that had a coherent vision for them, because, things aren't changing, even like stuff like musical motifs, like other than like the kind of like iconic, like Hedwig, like dun, 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 there's not really any through themes. Like it would be great if we had like, a theme that would play every time Snape would come up, and then it would be that always thing would be more impactful if we had heard it from the beginning, the first movie, but they kept changing posers and the director, because the directors were changing. And so the lack of consistency, I think, is my biggest problem. But it does kind of, by the end of the series, kind of write itself, and that's why I like the ending of the series probably better than the middle and the beginning.
Gotcha.
That is a very big point that you brought up, and I think that's actually part of both of our issues with Order of the Phoenix. Was the new director, mind you, he did great with like the next few movies, but Order of the Phoenix, the tonal difference was huge and just was really off-putting to me.
See, I feel like Order of the Phoenix for me, I kind of like, because I feel like while there's a lot that it doesn't follow the book to a T, it does kind of capture the tone of the book better than a lot of the previous movies. I'm like, okay, like this, when I was watching, like this feels like Harry Potter. Like when they were at that party with the vampire and it's just kind of awkward. I'm like, this gives me like, okay, we're like at a school and it's kind of weird and awkward, and Hogwarts is all just kind of quirky and stuff. And it felt like it had time to breathe, whereas some of the other films don't. And that is kind of one of the restrictions of the medium of film is they kind of have to be about like the 2 hour ish range, whereas like books can be just whatever length. Like the first 3 books are like kids books, they're small, and then like from 4 onward they're fucking huge, they're like Les Mis all of a sudden. Right. And you can't really do like a 90-minute first 2 movies and then have like a mini series. I guess they kind of did actually with the 7th one. They did split it up into 2, so they actually got around it that way. But yeah, so I think that and that's another reason why I kind of like the end, is that they actually did break that last movie into 2 chunks and kind of give the book its full treatment.
They did.
Gotcha.
We did miss one of the most magical moments from like the Half-Blood Prince book, though. Like the very beginning of Half-Blood Prince, where Dumbledore is just being aggressively nice to the Dursleys in the book. That part is wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm kind of mad because they shot this and then they cut it out. One of my favorite scenes in the book is when Harry says goodbye to Dudley, and like Dudley basically just like apologizes to him for being a shit for years, and it just kind of has this, and Dudley's still kind of too stupid to like just be like actually like give a full apology, but you do have this like kind of nice moment of closure, and they shot that, and I wish they had kept it in the movie because it's one of my favorite moments from the books. But yeah,
is wonderful. I think the actual line Dudley uses, "You're not a waste of space," or something like that.
All right, guys. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go on to my absolute favorite part of every show. If you watch the show, if you've ever seen it, every episode we always take the topic that we're talking about and we bring it into my absolute favorite time of the year. It's time for the draft. All right, so tonight we are drafting our all-star Quidditch team. Now, Derick and Thomas, what I have told you is originally that we were going to be drafting any students from Hogwarts, no teachers. Seriously, dude? So we're going to change things up a little bit here today. So not only are we going to be able to draft any student that we want, I'm taking anybody in the world of Hogwarts, of Harry Potter, of the first 8 films.
Okay, so they have to be from the films then, correct?
Correct, from the films. This is a movie podcast, so
I thought so. I just was because I don't know if you guys ever played the Quidditch World Cup game, because there's a lot of players that I know from that. That's a fucking great video game. That's one of my favorite sports games ever, is Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. I love that game.
I've never heard of it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. many late nights in GameCube were spent playing.
I was going to say, that sounds like a GameCube game.
Oh, yeah.
So wait, went for it.
So clarification, do they have to be from Hogwarts?
No. If they have appeared on screen within the 8 films, they are up for anything, okay?
I was gonna say, me and Derick are gonna have a boxing match for a Seeker.
There you go. Yeah. So the rules to the draft: if one player is drafted, you cannot draft that same player because they are gone. Okay. We will run this in a snake order, which means by setup on my screen, Derick's gonna go first, Thomas is gonna go second, Dash goes third, and then Dash picks again, back to Thomas, then back to Derick. So we snake it or we're going to slither in it, okay?
Hell
See what I did there? Ba-boom.
Loved it.
Derick, who are you taking in the first round of your Quidditch team?
Well, I think, I got to take, and I'm sorry, Tom, I'm going to take it from you, but he's clearly the number 1 pick if we're talking Quidditch, is Victor Crumb.
There you go.
He's the best seeker. He's amazing. He's on the national team despite being like 17 years old or whatever it is. He, even when his team, he's just known as just the best seeker, one of the best athletes in the world.
Yeah, you
got to go with Victor Crumb. Even when his team is down, he'll still catch the snitch, which might not be the best, but that they were going to get blown out by Ireland either way. So yeah, I got to go with Victor Crumb as my number 1 pick for the seeker, and the seeker is the most important position. So It's like Quidditch is kind of a weird sport where it doesn't make a lot of sense. And
It really,
matters way more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So I got to go with the Seeker for my first pick.
Very good, Thomas. Who is your first pick in the first round?
Oh man, I just lost my star member, but I think I'm gonna have to go with my first beater then, Ludo Bagman.
All righty.
Ooh, that's good. I didn't even think about Ludo Bagman because I wasn't thinking about. Okay. That's good. That's good.
Let's see here. I am gonna go with somebody. You know what? I have sleepers on my picks here. I'm going with the sleeper right away. This is not a student. This is a teacher. I am going Gilderoy Lockhart as my chaser for one reason good. And one reason alone. Celebration would be phenomenal. I can guarantee you ticket sales will go through the roof just to see him celebrate. He is the LeBron James of Quidditch. I can guarantee you.
Oh man, he's the Johnny Football. He's
he's
not great, but it's like we were talking about last time, the Jags signing Tebow. Is it going to make the difference on the team? I don't know, but it'll get some jersey sales.
There you go.
Hell
Number one jersey right now too. And that's what I need. I need somebody who's going to put some butts in the seats. I'm wrapping it around here. My second pick for the second round, I'm going Cedric Diggory. Just a phenomenal character. Yeah. Again, I can't sing the praises enough of Robert Pattinson. The saddest moment to me in the franchise was his death. But we're not going to play zombie Cedric. It's going to be a live Cedric for this one. So yeah, Cedric in the second round here. Thomas, on to you. Who is your second pick?
I wasn't considering teachers earlier, and I kind of want to put Professor Snape as a seeker because, he was always seeking someone there. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to actually go with the star of the show, with Harry being my seeker.
Very nice. Very nice. Harry Potter.
Hello, Harry. Our new celebrity.
I one thing like anything sounds better in an Alan Rickman voice.
Yeah.
Like one of my absolute favorite things from Family Guy is Alan Rickman's voicemail. Remember that turtle joke.
That's great.
I couldn't make it a whole Harry Potter podcast without doing an Alan Rickman impression. You gotta do it.
All right,
Mr.
Derick.
McLean.
On to you. Who is your second pick here in your All-Star Quidditch team?
So I got to go with the other. So, a lot of these, you get multiple positions, except for Seeker and then, of course, Keeper. And there's not a lot of Keepers out there that are noteworthy. So I got to lock down Oliver Wood because I think that he is really kind of, there's no, like the distance between 1 and 2 is so vast that I got to lock him up right now. And so I've got Oliver Wood as my Keeper.
Yeah, that was my next
And he's a great
pick.
leader too. He's he has got an eye for talent too. So Oliver Wood, let's lock him up.
Awesome. Bringing it on back around, Derick, who take us into the third round.
All right. So I think then, I need a strong chaser as well. And I think that I'm going to go with Angelina Johnson because she, took over from, if I'm not mistaken, from Wood as a captain. She was always a really good chaser. Just solid player. So gonna go with her to be the first of my chasers.
Nice. Thomas, take us into the third round with your third pick, sir.
So I know he was feisty and I know he liked to command the team, but he was one heck of a player. Cormac McLagan. I think as long as we have a strong leader ahead of him and we got Ludo Bagman to, beat him back into place, he'll be a star keeper of the team.
Nice.
Not a lot of keepers, so I get that makes sense.
I am so I like to kind of consider myself a Gryffindor, if you will. I'm a little bit of a Gryffindor, a little bit of a Slytherin. Having said that, I am here representing the Gryffindor team. I'm going to pull a surprise here. I'm going to pull a surprise move, and I'm going to sweep the leg, and I'm going to go with Draco Malfoy as my seeker. I think, obviously, one, I can't have Harry Potter. He's gone. but I like that take no prisoner attitude, that I'm going to do what it takes to get the job done. Plus, he's got a badass broom, too. Did you see my cat just now?
I did.
Person to the window. So, yeah, I am taking Draco Malfoy as my seeker. Let's see here. All right, so wrapping it on around here for the fourth pick here for me, I am going to take another chaser. I'm going Ginny Weasley.
That's good.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting when Slytherin plays Gryffindor here, Harry versus Ginny. See what's going to happen. Thomas, who is your fourth pick here?
Well, Angela Johnson had a really good friend and a really good partner on her team.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to take that partner, Katie Bell.
There you
that's
go.
smart. That's good.
God damn it. My list is just dwindling. All right, Derick, who is your fourth pick here?
All right, and I got 4 and 5, right? I got
Correct.
two picks. All right, so then since you know what, yep, you guys know it's coming. I gotta bundle them up, because I was like, if I get a chance to get both of them and I'm back to back, I gotta get both of them. Gotta get the Weasley twins for the beaters. They're a tandem duo. Like you can pick one beater and have another good beater, but having them work together so well, that genetic bond, and I understand because my brothers are twins, so I've been the odd man out, so I know what it's like when you got these two coming at you and they work together in tandem. So I'm going, and Fred and George, and also they'd be fun to have in the locker room. You're going to have a fun time if you got the Weasley twins in the locker room. So going Fred and George Weasley for my fourth and fifth pick.
Awesome. Damn. Okay. Thomas, who is your fifth pick here?
Those were excellent picks by you. I think for beater, now this guy was a chaser in the movies, but I'm going to go with Marcus Flint. Okay. There was a point in the movie, he took one of the bats from one of the beaters, hit it, took someone straight out. Him and Ludo Bagman's going to be knocking all the chasers out of the sky.
Very good. I'm going to move on here and pick my first beater. Not a player. We're going to make him one here. My absolute favorite character of the entire 8-film franchise, I'm taking Sirius Black as one of my beaters here.
That's good. That's
good.
Gary, I mean, not enough can be said about Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is probably the next best thing to Alan Rickman. Mm-hmm. Just an incredible actor, and what he brings to Sirius Black, I'm sure he'll bring on the field as well, or in the air, should I say. Let's see here. So this is going to bring me into 6. You know what? I am going to add to the family here. You may have the son, but I'm taking the father. I'm going James Potter as my next chaser here.
He was definitely going to be my next pick.
Yeah. Sorry. It's going to be a Vader and Luke situation here.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, Thomas, who is your second to last pick?
I am on my last 2 chasers now. I am going to choose Flora Delacour because the Villa Blood should be a nice distraction.
Yeah. That was who I was going to go with next. Damn it. Oh, okay. Derick, your last 2 picks here.
All right. So I gotta, since I'm a Ravenclaw, I'm representing Ravenclaw here, and I've got, one guy from Bulgaria and a bunch of Gryffindors. I gotta pick a Ravenclaw for my team, and I'm going with the captain of the Ravenclaw team, Roger Davies, so for chaser. So, he's a captain. We got, he's good. He's still on the board at this late point in the game. I got to snatch him up. He's a captain. So that's going to be my 6th pick. For my 7th pick, let's get I'll you know what? There's no Hufflepuffs here. Hufflepuffs are, whatever, but I'll grab Zacharias Smith for another chaser because he does get, some mentions in the book. I think he's pretty good. So yeah, we get Zacharias Smith and then Roger Davies to finish my team off.
Very, very nice. Thomas, who is your final pick here?
Both of my last 2 chasers just got snatched. I think, let's just round it off with Cho Chang.
Nice.
She was willing to play dirty. I have a few other people willing to play dirty on the team. Let's get her in there.
She was going to be my seeker pick if some other people got snatched, for sure.
And I'm going to finish up here. I need one more keeper. What is the job of a keeper but to block that goal? I think who better? You're not getting by him. You're not going to score on him whatsoever. I'm taking Rubius Hagrid as my final keeper here. He's riding 3 brooms. He's strong. He's rolling hard, and you're not getting a score on him.
Or a keeper Hagrid.
Yeah. Or a keeper Hagrid. Very nice. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Probably something I am going to do is probably take a look at the books. Again, I'm not much of a reader. I try to do as much as I can in the time that I'm allotted. We only get 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week. And a lot of time is dedicated to this podcast now and editing. So I like to stick to the movies. It's short, sweet, to the point. If there's anything else that needs to be said, they'll make a sequel. So thank you guys so much for coming on to the show. Derick, where can we find your podcast? Where can we find you on social media? Anything you want to plug, let us know.
Yeah. So, you can find my podcast, Underrated, on any podcasting app you listen to, or on YouTube. Just Underrated Podcast. We're the Undercast Company. If you look us up on YouTube, we're also on Instagram, Undercast Company, Facebook, all that stuff, Undercast Company. If you want to just check me out, Derick's Photos on Instagram. And then I also do some freelance writing for sites like Watch Mojo, or you can check my stuff out on Medium.
Awesome. Thomas, where can we find you on social media? Anything to plug?
You can find me at PeepingOtter on YouTube or on Twitch. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for coming on to the show tonight. Again, Thomas, I love your background so much. I love all the colors and everything. But yeah, thank y'all so much for coming on tonight, talking about Harry Potter. This is one of the episodes that I wanted to do kind of from the beginning, was talk about some Harry Potter. So it was very nice. For everybody else, check us out on YouTube, obviously, because that's probably where you're watching us right now. We are Shorts and Hoodies. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts every single Thursday. Next week, we will see y'all. Peace.
Cut the check.